This week, I am not talking about anything I'm making. Instead, I am talking about how I manage my pain while I sew. Hello, my bookhos, and welcome to Book Hoarding by Bianca. I'm Bianca. Today, I'm going to talk to you about managing my pain while I sew. This is not an end-all be-all example of how to do this. This is me telling you what has worked for me. I feel like most people have different physical needs, but for the most part, I probably have very similar experiences in terms of where I'm getting my pain, where I'm feeling it, for a lot of home sewers. I feel like people who probably sew for a living have different pains and aches, but also have different like ergonomics working for them. So I'm mostly going to be speaking to people like me who are home sewers, people who your main thing in life is probably a desk job or something like that, and then you have to swap over to sewing. But my body is also a little unique and different. I always have a lot of shoulder tension and pain even when I'm not sewing. So when I am sewing, that just adds to it. Despite all of the ergonomic changes I've made to my desk situation for my jobs, I still am gonna get shoulder and arm tension a bunch. And I am at that wonderful over 30 age where I can sleep funky one night and suddenly my back doesn't feel good for a whole week. On top of that, I have a couple other little like injuries and stuff that I have just made, I don't know, a lot of things difficult, not fun, sometimes flare up. January of 2020, I actually like fell down my stairs and hit my sciatic stuff real bad. And so in my early 30s, I actually developed sciatic pain because I thought I had broken bones in my body, but no, I just really hurt a bunch of muscles along my back. It's like I have some funkiness on my right side. I have a unique standing desk sewing situation so that I can shift different feet and kind of move it around and have the ability to kind of stretch out my back more because I sit all day. So again, just take all of my little suggestions as a, you know, whatever works for you, because this is specifically made for what works for me. Okay, so the first steps to me managing my pain are, one, I actually try to prevent pain by just like thinking about how my body is feeling during the day and if I'm going to be able to sew that night or if I already have like some pains from before. If I don't have any like aches and pains that I'm concerned about, then I will continue on to sewing. And if I have some aches and pains that I'm worried about, I will use some of my pain relieving methods to try to mitigate that if I do really have to sew for class. Other things, I have a standing desk for my sewing machine. So in terms of just using my machine and everything, I actually prefer to just have it on a standing desk. I feel like it makes it easy to go back and forth from the ironing board to the standing desk, which are about the same height as I look across my sewing room. I just like the ability to be really agile because I feel like most of the time I'm not just sitting at the table sewing for a long time. I'm like sewing a seam, pressing it open, pinning something into it, pressing, maybe sewing again, finishing the seam. So I feel like because I'm always going back and forth, I prefer the standing desk, so I just have that. And also, I use my standing desk for doing patterning stuff as well when I can. Although I have started using the dining room table for patterning stuff just because it's bigger and I have need to do like bigger dresses and stuff like that that actually involve that space. And that's the other thing. So I know that I used to spend a lot of my time on the floor cutting fabrics and cutting patterns, but I really just can't do that for long periods of time without being in a lot of pain. So we have made it a collective habit where if I need to use the table to do pattern stuff and cutting fabric, we are just going to clear off the dining room table and have it so that I can do that. So that is also lifted, so I'm not like bending over really badly. I'm just kind of leaning and doing that because I am shorter, so it's not as much of a bend for me. When I'm hand sewing or making lace, I actually put things on top of a pillow. This is a lace pillow, but like I usually put like a pillow in my lap, and if I'm sitting or something, it can be right in my face. It's usually like one of the sofa pillows, so it's pretty big. But I use like one of our throws and just, you know, lay myself and have it. It's about at this height once I put the pillow on top of everything. The same thing for my lace pillow. I put my lace pillow on top of another pillow to work off of it because I like having that extra height. So it's closer to me, so A, I can see, but also B, I like having it, again, I crouch over if it's down here, but if I have it on top of my lap on a pillow, there's less space. Along with that, I try to do things like stretching and yoga whenever I can because I do feel like that helps keep my muscles limber, stretched out, and relieve some of that pain. I also do a lot of daily exercises and things that even when I'm not in pain I need to do because I have a slight bend in my spine that apparently no one caught when I was a kid, so here we are. So I use one of these very basic rolls. You can find these at Ross. You can get them off Amazon. I will link mine in my description, but this is great. You can look online for some exercises and I'll link them, but you basically just put this on the floor. You lay your back down on this and you just kind of go back and forth this way. And then you can also lay on it where it's like against my spine this way, and you can kind of go back and forth and kind of just like go over your back. Other things that I use. This is something that my doctor gave me, again, for my spine curvy issues, and to help with the pain, which is this. For me, I was told that what I need to do was you put this against a wall. So you sandwich this between your back and the wall and you do this. And basically the way it works is like my spine is centered on this little divot between the balls, and then you just go back and forth, and that's supposed to really help that. Single lacrosse balls are actually really, really helpful as well, because these are great for like a lot of pains, like foot pain and other things, because it helps you really target that point and just like massage into it. And so for me, I use this a lot on my shoulder, my back, and like as I'm talking, I'm like, oh my god, it'll feel so good to do this after this video. But you just kind of put this on the ground, you lay on top of it. You can do it against a wall too if you can't get on and off the floor easily, but you put this against the point that hurts, and then you just kind of massage and roll it slowly, and like you have a lot of control over the pressure that way. You have probably more control over the pressure if you're against a wall than on the floor, but I do really like it on the floor, so I can just roll on it. If you have hardwood, it's probably going to be a little harder. I do it on our carpeted areas just because then it holds the ball in place and doesn't just get out from under me. But this I highly recommend. It's really nice, and it comes in handy for aches and pains all over my body. I will say too, one other thing that I do use for dealing with pain is my corset. My dark garden corset that I've talked about previously in my videos is really handy for days where I definitely am having some pain of some kind. I don't put on Tiger Balm or anything that's going to interact and potentially get on that corset though, the days that I do wear that. I obviously am still wearing like a tank top or something that's fabric between the corset and my skin, but even then I don't use anything that might get on the corset because it is really delicate material. It's not delicate, it's really fancy material that I don't want to get messed up. Okay, so those are some of the ways that I kind of do daily prevention and stretching and muscle maintenance. So let's talk about the things that I actually use when I'm in pain. More often than not, I'm gonna have some kind of pain during the week. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. Overall, I just kind of use a combo of these things to kind of help me. In terms of treating the pain where it is, if it's really, really bad, I use Tiger Balm. Alternatively, we got this cream, MG Plus Pain Cream, Magnesia and Arnica. Off recommendation from one of the discords I'm in about managing pain. This really helps my husband's cramps that he gets. He gets a lot of leg cramps at night, so this really helps him when he puts that on. And then this also helps me a lot for my shoulder pain. This as well really helps me. It packs a punch. So I feel like I use this for my most severe pain. You can see it's like almost gone. This one, I have a second one somewhere in the house, but I used to have one of these in my work bag just because I would get pain all the time from my desk. So these are two must-haves for me. I don't use them in combination. I use one or the other of these. But speaking of Tiger Balm, I actually have a new favorite thing from them, and it's the Tiger Balm patches. So they're just like little patches that go on wherever you need them to go. I really dig them because I don't have to worry about this staining my clothes as much, because this sometimes, especially because of my shoulder and everything, I will, you know, try to massage it in and maybe like a little piece of the orange waxy substance gets onto my shirt, and then it can kind of stain some of them. So yeah, the things I like about this are that they're very centered on a place. They don't stain your clothes. You can easily just take it off when you're tired of it. I feel like these are like a slow burn thing because it's not initial. It's initially very cold and jelly on your back, and then it really, really heats up and stays hot for a long time on my back. I mean, this is again like, you know, my go-tos, and then this has also started being in my rotation. I will say too, this smells a lot like Bengay. If you ever were like, I wonder what grandma smells like. It's this. It's pain relievers. That's what grandma apparently smelled like. So that's where I am emotionally and physically. So once I put on one of my like pain reliever things, if it's really bad and not just like a manageable thing, I will then put on a heat pack. So here is my little shoulder heat pack. I actually found this at Ross. So I had actually gotten a ton of little like heat packs before, microwavable, and then I have a couple that were also plug-in, and they were like okay. They don't like get so warm. The microwavable ones, like, to get them to a heat that actually like helped my pain, I probably had to microwave them a little bit longer than was recommended, which is not good. But I found this shoulder pack, which I will find the info for and put it on my description, but this actually gets really hot, like really hot, to a level that I'm like, ah, yes. And I like that for not only when I'm having shoulder pain, but also when I'm having my like period cramps. So this is like my favorite thing that I have around the house, where I can just pop this on like while I'm watching TV, or it has a longer cord and I can just put it on like even at my desk sometimes, and that's real good. I really like having this little heat pack at my convenience. I also take baths. I take very hot baths, and I have a lot of Epsom salts and stuff and cute little bath bombs, but I do have a favorite muscle relaxer bath. Pacha soap company makes a salt block series, and like there's one for like breathing better or sleep. This one is for muscles, and it's specifically to relax your muscles, and it has arnica extract. It does everything I need it to do. I have decided that I just have to have these stocked now, so I make almost like a monthly purchase from Pacha where I have to have my little muscle soap bars, because my back is just needs it. Like I just need it, and like when I don't have it, I can use like my other things, but I definitely do notice the difference when I use the salt block for muscle stuff, which just smells so good. I feel like this combined with the heat of a really hot bath really help my back and help relax my back. Okay, so those are all of the things that I do for my pain. I'd say definitely before you try any of these, make sure that, you know, you checked with your doctor and you're not allergic to anything. Also look for any kind of like best practices on like using any equipment that you buy. And like if you have the ability to ask a doctor for guidance or assistance on any of these things, you should. This is like a thing that literally my physical therapist told me to make and gave me a little how-to to make this for my back. But there are solutions out there and like advice on like how to treat these things. What I'm trying to say is make sure that you do all these safely. This is just one person's personal preferences and things that I have found work for me and that are safe for me. Definitely check out any of these like medicated kind of things before you use them, and make sure they actually won't give an allergic reaction or interact with anything that you're already taking, or, you know, any of those bad things. They do say, you know, check with a doctor before use. The same thing for these salt blocks, you know, definitely check to make sure that you're not allergic to anything in any of the things recommended here. I'm not a doctor, I'm just a person that experiences pain, and so this is my advice. That's where I'm coming from when I'm talking about this. Also, I am a person who is allergic to a lot of botanicals, and I have to always check in with random bath supplies that I'm given or that I get to make sure they don't have the things that I'm allergic to. So that's why I really want to caution people about things like that. Well, I hope this was an interesting little video for you and maybe helpful for other folks who are feeling things. Definitely check out different stretches. I set timers for myself sometimes just to be like, okay, I can only sew for like the next hour and a half, and then I have to move my body and stretch and feel good, and then I can come back to it. I would say the biggest thing is just listening to your body and figuring out things that work for it. Huge shout out to my patrons who have helped me purchase a new desktop situation, and that has really helped with video editing, because pretty much my other computer just decided it was just gonna stop editing things and doing anything of productivity levels. So really nice to have that emergency help from folks. Like, just super appreciated, because I don't know what I was gonna do. I feel like I was unable to edit video at a certain point. If you'd like to check out my Patreon or my Ko-fi to leave me a tip, check it out. Patrons are the people who are going to get early access to all of my stuff, and they are also going to get freebies every once in a while. There are also going to be people who are getting first access to all of my stuff from my upcoming trip to the UK, which is going to include things like bath and museums and maybe, I don't know, other special secret things. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and don't forget to make it so.